Hi everybody, welcome back to the basement. I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers and all the great comments that I received on the last video, which was layout update number 28. Welcome aboard. Comments were great. I really enjoyed reading through those, and for both new and existing subscribers, thank you. So I figured this would probably be a good time to do a full layout overview. So I'm not going to do an in-depth tour. I do plan on doing something like that in the future, but I'm going to do an overview of the entire layout. I do these overview videos about once a year or so to kind of show the progress from year to year. So let's take a look. I'd like to also say, please try to watch the videos in full. I know sometimes, wow, those lights are glaring today. Or I know that sometimes some of the videos may get long-winded and boring, but please try to watch them through. It helps the channel out. And there might be something in that video that might be interesting or of use to you. I brought you over here to actually show you the route that I model. But basically the route going from south to north starts here around the Dearborn area. Then it heads up towards Flint, heads west to Durand, north to Owasso, north again to Saginaw area, northwest towards Midland, or north towards Bay City, or from Midland you can go straight across to Bay City. Then from Bay City it goes up the Lake Huron coastline to Tawas, and then further north from there up to Alpena. And then, as I mentioned, we go from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan on the U.S. side across the border to Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada, and then following or going along the route of the Algoma Central Railway, we head north towards the Agawa Canyon. So real quick, just a few stats. The name of the layout is the Great Lakes Eastern. It's set primarily in the eastern half of Michigan, which is the Great Lakes state. And then there's also a section that consists of Sault Ste. Marie up in the UP of Michigan, and it crosses the border into Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada. It's two layouts. There's the primary layout here, and there's a smaller auxiliary layout over there. The primary layout is DCC powered, and the auxiliary layout is DC powered. And currently the layout is powered with Digitrax. Okay, the Zephyr is the command station, but the layout is powered by two of these 5 amp boosters. It's the DB210 model, and I also have the Wi-Fi module. So I grabbed our map here, take it with us so I could show you the route as we go around the layout. So we're going to start in the Dearborn area, which is right there, and on the layout that is right here. Okay, so including the large engine shops, a big yard out front. Okay, and the Dearborn area starts right about here. Oh, there's my hand. Okay. These Menards buildings are really cool. I do want to point out that every section of the layout, every scene is modeled after a real place. So like this little subdivision here, this is actually modeled after an actual subdivision that's across the street from the Norfolk Southern shops, which are down in Melvindale, Michigan, just south of Dearborn. Okay. Per the map, we're going to head north to the Flint area. So, leaving the Dearborn area. And in the future, I'll explain why I started in Dearborn and why I modeled everything that I modeled. There's a small old-time cemetery. And then once we get right here, we're in the Flint area. This is the GM assembly plant, which today is the last GM plant in Flint. From there, we're going to head west to Durand, which is out here on the corner. Okay. This right here is going to be a representation of the Durand Union Station. From there, we're going to head north towards Owasso. So there's going to be some farmland in here and out front. A little bit of a trailer park. Okay, here's Owasso. Now specifically it's the Shiawassee Steam Railroading Institute in Owasso, Michigan, where the Berkshire 1225 is housed and maintained. From there, we're going to head towards the Saginaw area, which is where the Y is. That Y. Looks like a triangle on the map, which, yeah, triangle. So you can go from the Saginaw area northwest over to Midland, which is where the Dow Chemical Plant is, or you can go north up through there to Bay City, where you see that engine house over there. So now let's take a walk over there. Alright, so now we're at Bay City, which is there. And again, this is just a representation of the Winona yard and shops that are probably just to the north of Bay City, but we're not modeling the whole city here, just specific locations for the railroad. But now we're going to head north along the Lake Huron shoreline. There's a peak at Lake Huron. So we're going to pass through some farm country and slowly wind our way north. There's the U.S. Gypsum facility, which is in Alabaster, Michigan, which is just south of Tawas. There's the old roundhouse and turntable. No longer stand, unfortunately. There's a Walmart there today, but back in the 80s and 90s, this is what was left of a rather large facility. Here's the beach. And when we leave the Tawas area, we get out into the woods. Here's the campground. This was a big hit. Of course, all of this is very much under construction. Continue north into the woods, which is part of the Huron National Forest. Eventually we wind up in Alpena, Michigan, which is as far north as we go on this part of the route. But this represents State Street and the park and the marina and everything that's right there along the water. As you can see, the track is at the back of the layout here because it's further in the city. There's downtown. Across the bridge. I add specific details and signs like this to represent where you are versus the prototype. This entire layout, like I said, is based after a prototype. Real locations. Power plant. The old engine facility in Alpena, which is still there. And the large Lafarge cement plant. One thing that I think is really cool about the Great Lakes are the massive Great Lakes freighters that we have that run about most of the year. And growing up, I was always fascinated by these big ships and decided at some point that, hey, I want to include those on my model railroad. I'm going to do more than one. I'm going to do, let's say, 3. And as we continue around the layout, you'll see why I warranted having 3. So this is a kit, Craftsman kit by Dumas. It's still under construction, but I built it up to this point because it very much does look like a freighter. In fact, it's modeled after the cement carrier named the Alpena, which you frequently see here at Lafarge Cement in Alpena, Michigan. So we're just going to continue on around. And as you see, the tracks run into a backdrop here because this is as far north as we can go on this part of the model railroad. Alright, to reference where we are, on this side of the backdrop is Midland and Dow Chemical. If you can kind of remember, I was standing there a little bit ago because there's the Saginaw area, there's the Y, and kind of pointing out all of that. So now let's jump to Sault Ste. Marie on the Michigan or the US side. Okay. So just a small scenic representation here. This is the bridge, the Portage Avenue Bridge. It crosses the canal, which feeds the power plant, a hydroelectric power plant. And here, this was a nice big kit bash or scratch bash project. It was building the International Bridge, which crosses the border. Again, under construction, but you can clearly see the railway bridge and all the different types of bridges that are used. And then the highway bridge, where I-75 terminates and crosses the border where it meets up with Highway 17, I believe, in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada, down there. But while we're right here, because of the way the layout was designed, it's got an S shape, okay? This was open right here, so it was absolutely the perfect spot for me to put in the Soo locks. So I modeled 2 of the 4 Soo locks, the MacArthur lock and the Poe lock. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have more than one freighter. I knew I wanted to have one over there in Alpena, but I knew I also wanted to have at least one going through the locks. So we're going to cross the border. Here's the rapids right here, which is the reason the locks exist. We're slowly going to come across. This channel here will lead to the smaller Canadian lock, which isn't modeled, but the channel's there. The 3 types of bridges along the railway section is swing bridge here on the Canadian side, double bascule, which may function at some point, and a lift bridge on the end. Once we get into Canada, we head over to the giant Algoma steel mill. And again, another freighter. So the mill, the steel mill goes from way down there, all of this, to here. Okay? Steelton Yard that wraps around the outskirts of the mill. And over here, we see some of the locomotives from the Algoma Central Railway, which is based out of, or was based out of, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. In the 90s and early 2000s, you had Wisconsin Central in the area. Of course, Soo Line. In fact, the Soo Line Railway was named after the Sault Ste. Marie area. Okay. And again, here's another reason why I wanted an additional freighter. I have this big shelf here in front of the mill, which frequently has a freighter there. Now this freighter is not a kit. I scratch built this. I did not do a video series or hardly any videos at all regarding this boat because I didn't really know how it was going to turn out. So that's pretty much it for the main layout, or what we'll call layout A. Now we're going to jump over to layout B, where we continue our trip north out of Sault Ste. Marie and up to the Ottawa Canyon Provincial Park. So here is the St. Mary's paper plant, which is also located in Sault Ste. Marie. Down here is what the Ottawa Canyon tour train looked like back in the 80s and 90s, which I did ride as a kid. Then we're going to head north. Here's a small neighborhood section of Sault Ste. Marie. And we're going to end up in the wilderness. This layout here is much smaller. Here's the Montreal River trestle and a power dam, hydroelectric dam under there. Continuing north. This scene right here, which is really interesting, is the original part of this layout, built in 1996. When this scene was built, I had no idea that this is what was going to develop out of it. Continuing north, and then in this corner is the Ottawa Canyon. So for now, the canyon also doubles as a representation of the park, but someday I am going to expand this layout another 5 feet this way so that I can actually do a scene of the park and also expand the rail yard that's over here and make it longer. Alright, so there you go. There's the overview of the layout as it looks in January of 2023. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, I hope you watched most of the video so that you could see the whole layout as I toured around it. And throughout the year, please check out for new videos as I continue to work on this. And who knows what it'll look like come 2024. I'm sure it'll be pretty cool. Well, again, thanks to all the new subscribers and the existing subscribers and all your great comments. Please keep them coming. And until next time, take care. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.